Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies?
Leave the gun. Technique and only.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
What we are witnessing here is the return of this.
Mothra. Rodette. Ghidorah.
Oh, my. We stopped this Ghidorah. We stopped them.
Is there another creature that might stand a chance against him?
My God. Zilla.
Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodan, oh my. Did you notice the...
Oh my God, Zilla.
Yes, but there's a little background there of the Wizard of Oz, and we'll talk about that. This is Douglas Viviani with Gigantor himself, David Cohen.
Yes, talking about monsters.
The Monsterverse. I got to tell you, I'm all excited. I love these monster movies, and I don't know why, but I could tell you ever since I first saw Godzilla, I may have actually seen King Kong first from 1933. Then I saw all those 50s movies with all the big monsters, the big ants, the big grasshoppers, all that stuff. Then I saw Godzilla in 54. I have to tell you, I've been enthralled, and I think we all have been in some way. Or we've been disgusted, or even bowled over by big monster movies. Now, in 2014, this company called Legendary Entertainment gained the rights to King Kong and Godzilla. So they've branded now. They want to do like an Avengers. They've branded themselves the Monsterverse. And along those lines, in 2014, we know they did a reboot of Godzilla. 2017, they did Kong Skull Island, which I loved. Did you like that one? Kind of.
What else did they do?
And we did a whole show on that one if you want to look that up. And now, of course, there's Godzilla King of Monsters. What's next? 2020? Drum roll. Godzilla versus Kong.
That had to happen.
It
just had to happen. It's like Ali Frazier. It had to happen.
Although it did happen in the 60s, and it was a pretty big letdown. You remember that one?
Yes, I do.
But I'm hoping this one is going to be a real, gangbuster.
Knockdown, drag out. Right.
Exactly. But first, I don't even understand this. Why do we like these movies? I got to put myself on the couch, and I'm going to do that right here in front of everybody.
Star Trek reference. You sounded a lot like Captain Kirk right there.
Did you like
Why do we like these movies? Spock.
Explain. Please. Captain, I have to explain to you that you've had a childhood, and in your childhood you had friends of yours, and your friends used to get together on Saturdays when it was a bad day, weather-wise, and you would listen to Creature Double Feature.
Hello, and welcome to the Creature Double Feature. This afternoon, find out who will be the victor when vicious monsters engage in a fierce and bloody battle in Godzilla's Revenge. Then at 2:30, a world-famous diamond detective encounters a gigantic jellyfish in Dagora, the space monster.
Now, this is what we were up against. Do you remember, like, the creature features?
The creature features were great.
Now, during the day, the double feature.
And your parents would be yelling at you to get out of the house, and you were just sitting there for hours watching these movies about monsters.
Or we did get out of the house and went to your buddy's house, knocked on the door, told him Gothero, whatever that last movie was on. We'd say Creature Features is on. You guys run to like the basement or whatever, you could go to get away, and you would have some popcorn and some candy and junk food and whatever and watch these big monster movies. It didn't matter which one it was, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're pretty much right. Yeah, whoever the monster of the week was, you made sure that you watched it.
And then, your parents would go out Saturday night. I had this happen a lot. And you'd hang out with your family, my brother and my sister, and we would turn on Chiller Theater. You remember this one?
Oh, yeah. Anytime I heard that Chiller, I had a chill. It never failed. I would get a little scared.
Because they would play nothing but scary movies, whether it was monster movies or zombies or the old Universal movies, and it was. This is crazy, maybe, but when you're a kid, I think you romanticize things, or maybe when you grow up, you romanticize what you had as a kid. I don't know. All I can say is those times when we would have the Elio's pizza, like the frozen pizza that you throw in the toaster oven, and you would turn Creature Feature on, or Chilla Theater, which, by the way, had the hand come up with 6
I'm telling
fingers.
you, man, that animated beginning to Chilla Theater, that's a classic.
Yeah.
It was scary to see it, and it was scary the sound effects were frightening.
Yes, and so were the movies.
And the movies.
And they did some sci-fis as well, but anyway, the idea that it sort of was not your parents' movies. You were allowed to, it was real movies, real people, not cartoons and stuff, but they were cartoonish and with these big monsters, but you got to enjoy it with your kids in your family, and your buddies would talk about the next day, whatever, and everyone loved these movies. But I think also it was sort of the experience of having the pizza and the what would you have, high C or something, like, to drink, and you were on your own and you were able to watch these movies, and
you kind of laughed at them too, because I mean, look, a lot of them were Japanese and they were dubbed into English. And the audio and the video didn't sync.
Right.
So you'd be scared, but you'd also be laughing with your friends over how silly it looked, So it was the frightening aspect, but also the humor to it as well. We all enjoyed.
Exactly. And let's put a little of the background now. This is now Chilla Theater, Creature Feature at nighttime. Remember this? A little different. I'll put it down a little bit. And let's talk over that, because
I do remember
this would be the beginning of, and a lot of these they did a lot of the Universal monster movies. But remember, listen to this. I'll put up a little bit. I don't know. They franchised this. I think this.
They get you in the mood, man.
Yes,
they definitely do.
But all over the country, I can guarantee you, they had, Creature Feature. But each independent radio station, TV station, had their own beginnings. Go on YouTube, you'll see. There's a ton of different beginnings. One in Boston, one in California. Oh wow,
that's weird.
Yeah,
so this is the one in New York, I guess.
This is the New York one, and it just brings back some memories. But so I think maybe that's part of it. I think the makers of the MonsterVerse are now sort of maybe trying to have us take another bite out of the apple. In other words, have us relive those days and maybe bring our kids with us into this experience. Now remember, on television back in the day, you had 5 channels. You had the 3 regular channels, which were playing regular adult kind of stuff.
ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right. And then there was no Fox. And then, Fox was an independent station, Channel 5 by us. And I should say there's 6 stations.
It's more of a local thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a 9 local station, 11. So for us, there were 3 local stations.
And 3 networks.
Right. Those are independent. And those had the choice to play whatever they wanted.
Right.
Creature Feature and Chilla Theaters on Saturday nights were up against each other. And the third station, who knows what they played. But you would pick out one of those 2 movies. And I don't know. I guess that's part of it. I think I remember the big monster movies to me were the Saturday afternoon. At nighttime were more of the Creature Feature, like, the zombies and the birds.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because I think they were intended to be shown at night to scare you. And during the daytime, the Godzilla, the King Kongs, they weren't as scary, let's face it. They weren't scary.
Right, not really. You knew.
I mean, after a while, you started rooting for Godzilla, right? Because he'd come up against other monsters. Suddenly, you're a fan of Godzilla.
And they also made, after a while, Godzilla sort of humanity's friend.
Right.
Against these other big giant monsters.
Exactly.
And I think what we're going to do later on, we're going to have a battle royale, at least fictitiously, on the radio and try to figure out, are there any villains, if you will, or enemies of Godzilla that have faced him and should have won, didn't win? We'll talk about that. But what about the ones that haven't faced Godzilla yet? Are there any big monsters out there that we want to see Godzilla go up against? Because there's a future for this franchise. Although I hear they're not so happy it didn't make as much money as they wanted it to make, the new Godzilla. So if you're into this, get your kids out and go to the theaters. We make no money from this, but I just had to tell you, I saw it with Leo.
You did.
And Leo, my 7-year-old, he's afraid of a lot of stuff. I don't know why, whatever it is.
Kids,
but that's him.
Kids,
that's fine. But we went to this, and I've shown him on television, the old black and white Rodan and a couple of others. So he's got a feel for it. And even though they take it very seriously in the Godzilla King of Monsters, as seriously as you can take it on some level. There's a little tongue-in-cheek, but, again, they're these goofy monsters. You're not getting afraid of the monsters so much.
He wasn't scared?
Wasn't scared of monsters fighting monsters, kind of.
I see.
And the special effects are great, and...
so he enjoyed it?
Yeah, you have to be of the mindset. He really enjoyed it. He's
cool.
drawing Godzilla into monsters now.
Oh, great.
All the time. he got a kick out of it. So I think, I don't know, just for whatever it's worth, it's worth a shot to just try to spread the wealth and try to enjoy a little creature feature with your family. We'll be back right after this on Everything Old is New Again, taking a real detailed look at the big monster craze. Where did it come from? Right after this on Everything Old is New Again.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
These are photos of an island in the South Pacific.
The place where myth and science meet.
Is that a monkey?
What the hell is this place?
That's Kong. He's king around here. This is a good group of boys. We're all gonna die together out here. You shouldn't have come here.
We're back on Everything Old is New Again, talking all things Monsterverse with David Cohen. David, how are you?
Oh, hanging in there.
I have to tell you, I
love... With the monsters.
Love what they're doing now with respect to these movies and trying to promote them and get them to work and just have some fun at the movies again, But I think what could be missing in some way are those Saturday afternoons where our kids didn't have the opportunity too much to see Godzilla and the big monster movies. They're not on anymore.
No.
So you have these plethora of channels on the radio like crazy everywhere, and more specifically on television everywhere. Why don't we, on the radio or television, think about creating or suggesting someone create a monster channel, a creature feature channel? Why don't they have Sci-Fi Channel? They got all these channels.
Yeah, you think they have a channel for everything, right?
This would be tremendous on a Saturday afternoon to revisit and have kids kind of just have some fun with this. Because to look up a movie, I don't care who you are, I don't care what generation you are, to have to sit down, think to yourself, okay, today is Saturday afternoon. I'd like to listen or watch a big monster movie. Let me go on Hulu or Netflix or whatever and look up and try to find those movies. Oh, and here's one. Oh, I got to buy this one for $19. I can't do that. Oh, this one I got to rent for $2.99.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
And it would be cool too to have like hosts like they do at Turner Classic Movies in between the movies, because there's a lot of really good stories behind them, how they were made and the technology they used in the 60s versus now. I think I like that idea.
Actually, yeah. I mean,
why don't we start that?
I really think I'm going to suggest that to maybe to Terry Winter or who's in television, to Kevin Burns. I mean, seriously, why don't I suggest something like that? Sure. He's open-minded. He's a friend of the show. He
liked the monsters. He likes the monsters.
Yeah, right. He does. I just think it's something that it's really missing, and that would help. Maybe we suggest it to Legendary, because Legendary owns the rights to these things now. I don't know. Whatever. It's a pipe dream, maybe.
You'd think they have thought about that already, but who knows? They're probably thinking more like original programming for TV, but you don't have to. You have all of this stuff that's out there already.
And the trailers still exist. Listen to some of the trailers, the way they treated these movies.
Yeah.
First one is from 1954, Them.
Yes, cities, nations, even civilization itself, threatened with annihilation, because in one moment of history-making violence, nature, mad, rampant, wrought its most awesome creation. For born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust were things so horrible, so terrifying, so hideous. There is no word to describe them.
How about that? Them. Big giant ants. You remember this one?
Oh, it's about the ants.
Yeah, it's the big ants.
Oh, I do remember that.
It's the greatest. I love the way how serious.
Oh, yeah.
He's presenting that to you like this. It's almost War of the Worlds. Like this is really happening.
It's funny because the whole atomic age, right, with the bombing in Hiroshima, Hiroshima. And the symbolism that Godzilla, presented at the time. And even in these other movies you're playing, they all are spawned from, radioactive materials and the things that could, like the bomb isn't enough to scare people.
Right.
Now that there are creatures that are created because of it.
Or let loose from somewhere.
Yeah, so it's funny how that sort of started or kicked off this whole like giant monster syndrome.
A majority of them, you're right, that's the reason. Also, although there's also the errant sci-fi.
Every one of you watching this screen, look out. Because soon, very soon, the most horrifying monster menace ever conceived will be oozing into this theater. 2 teenagers see it first, like a falling star from outer space. How can it be stopped? Before long, the nation and then the world could fall before the blood-curdling threat of the Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
I love that guy at the end.
It's a completely different voice. And in like different tone. Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people. Right.
He literally forgot, or whoever, when they prepared that, they literally forgot who the star of the movie was, because it's his first movie. And so they insert that later on.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay. That's why it sounds like literally stapled on at the end there.
But the Blob? I wonder
that's is that the movie with the red gooey blob thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
My kids are still scared to that to this day. I showed it to them years ago, and they will not watch it again. They're so frightened of it. I don't know why.
You're a good dad.
Leo was like 5. Angelica was like, what was she, 9? 8. So we'll talk about this later, but the Blob would be my call. Well, for someone or some entity to battle Godzilla.
Godzilla, yes.
All right, let's take a look. I'm just thinking it's funny. Then there was
let's hear
the giant claw. Listen to this one.
It's got one of the planes. It's coming after me.
That bird is extraterrestrial. Comes from outer space. From some godforsaken antimatter galaxy millions and millions of light years from the Earth.
Hydrogen weapons, capable of wiping cities, countries off the face of the Earth, are completely ineffective against this creature from the skies.
How did they know that? Have they tried?
Exactly.
Or this is a theory? Like, we're not even gonna. You know what? We have the atom bomb. We could throw it at the bird, but it's not gonna work.
But how does a big giant bird come from a galaxy? What did he say? Millions of galaxies.
Outer space.
Yeah. How did that get here?
It's apparently some place that God forsook, but he forsook them. But apparently they have this giant bird creature that's going to destroy the planet.
The absolute worst special effects. Leo and I watched this one.
You did?
Yes, he was 5.
Again,
but he loved again. Real Dad was really doing great. He'll do an imitation for you right now. The end of the movie. The reason why they call it the claw is it was a big bird with big claws. The end of the movie, the last scene when they defeat the claw. I don't think I'm ruining it.
Goodness,
spoiler alert. Anybody's gonna.
Well, there was no Giant Claw 2, so I assume.
You see, he's in water, and all you see is the claw of the bird, one claw, sinking slowly into the water. So
nice.
if you ask him to do the imitation of the claw, he'll do that.
Really?
Yeah, he still remembers. So, I mean, come on. They took it seriously, man. One more before we get out here. You got to listen to Mothra 1961. Oh, boy, listen to this.
Mammoth caves that breed giant mutations. Vampire plants that devour humans. But most astounding of all, the tiniest women in all creation. Sacred beauties of a lost tribe which worships a monstrous creature. What is the secret of Mothra? Mothra, whose revenge is more devastating than any man-made weapon. Mothra, who defies warplanes, wrecks ocean liners, smashes dams and bridges. Mothra, enveloped in a shell that no human force can penetrate. Indestructible. All-powerful.
Mothra. Now, this one is a giant moth.
What are the little women, the tiniest women in the world? What do they have to do with the story?
They're about 9 inches tall, 2 twins apparently, and they sing to Mothra.
Oh,
If you remember this.
right.
And
So,
when they sing to Mothra,
Yeah.
Mothra will come and they'll listen. Then they literally have a conversation with a giant moth, and the giant moth will do what they ask.
what kind of drugs were the creators of this movie doing to come up with that?
But wait a minute. They completely forgot like a sequel or a subset here. What about the giant vampire plants? Isn't there a movie there about vampire? Wouldn't that be a nice movie to investigate?
You mean
Did
like
you hear that? In the beginning, they said there's an island of giant vampire
Oh
plants.
no, I missed that.
Yes. I don't know if I can find you missed that.
Seriously, I totally missed that.
Yes.
Play it again.
In the midst of this, that, and the other. Here you go.
Vampire plants that devour humans.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable. That part of the story you ignore. They did nothing with that ever.
Really?
No.
So was it part of the? Was it actually in the movie itself?
That was just like you go through those plants to get to where Mothra is.
Oh, I see. Okay. It was another like obstacle on the way to the hero had to overcome to get the
Not
villain?
even. They ignored it. From that point on, they literally ignored those plants. We'll be back right here on Everything Old is New Again. Talk all things Monsterverse.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in the history for the heavyweight championship of the world. For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
This is what we need here. The Monsterverse needs a battle royale with Godzilla, and it will be hosted by or sponsored by or covered by Everything Old is New Again. In some way, we have to get involved.
Maybe
we'd be the announcers. That would be good. The two of us be the announcers for this.
That would be great
royale.
within the movie, yeah.
Yes. And then we would have all the monsters of the Monsterverse that we've talked about, King Kong and Rodan. And this segment of our show, I want to just talk about a little bit more about who we would invite, who we want in the Battle Royale, and then maybe what would happen. We're here on Everything Old is New Again, talking all things Monsterverse, of course. Before we do, I wanted to play one more of these old-time trailers for these big monster movies. Rodan, remember this guy? He was a big thing with it. It was like a big Tyrannosaurus or something.
Right.
It's hard to say what it was. It had like wings. Anyway, listen to how they build this guy up. You're gonna. I mean, this is serious stuff. Serious stuff in 1956.
When he moves, the whole earth quivers and quakes, and an abyss of horror opens up. Supersonic jets cannot catch him. Rockets cannot stop him. Armored tanks are helpless before him. Even guided missiles are powerless. See Rodan destroy a modern city, leveling it to the earth with a killing airstream of his mighty wing. Nothing can stop him. Nothing escapes this monstrous beast of evil.
Oh, how about that? That's going to be my guy, Rodan.
An abyss of horror opens up.
This guy, he's a big stinking thing. You see him? He's got like webs and things, and he could fly, and he shoots electric stuff out of his mouth. Yeah, this is a good one.
But it's funny how in all these trailers, they basically say nothing, literally nothing can stop him. But what happens in the movie? Every movie, something stops him.
Exactly. But they do come back.
Yes.
There's a lot of sequels.
So maybe there's some truth in that.
The only thing is we're on this wrestling thing. I heard that Rodan and that intro and the way that they built that character up, I think it sounded very much like superstar Billy Graham.
Why am I still the champion after months and months and months? Because I'm in shape. I'm powerful. I'm strong. I wake up every morning, work out for 5 hours, run 19 miles a day, swim across the Atlantic Ocean. Unbelievable condition. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power. Too sweet to be sour. Mystery excitement. Look at the pandemonium.
Wow. Swims across the Atlantic Ocean every day. and then runs 19 miles.
he just went like, how long is the ocean? It's got to be like 1,000 miles off the Atlantic Ocean isn't it, to Europe? And then he runs 19. Where's he running to?
It's impossible to swim the Atlantic Ocean. It's impossible.
But if he did, where's he going?
In one day.
He didn't go far enough. He has to then get on land and run 19 miles.
Exactly. He swims to what? I don't know, like London or Paris, and then runs 19 miles off the boat?
Where's he going to La Traviata? All right, whatever. This is ridiculous. But it reminds me so much of these movies. These guys are invincible. So we need to take a look at the Battle Royale. What would it look like with Godzilla? You'd have Godzilla, you'd have King Kong, of course, right? You'd have those ants from them. You'd have the Blob. You'd have the Giant Claw. You'd have Mothra, Rodan, that King Gara, that thing with the three heads.
Say that again?
I'm not going to say it again.
You did a little accent there.
You like that? King Gara. Because I can't pronounce the damn guy's name. I mean, this is... You got King right here. See? King, you pronounce that.
Ghidorah.
All right, King Ghidorah. You want to say that? If you want to say it in the right way.
If you want to say it correctly, fine.
Feel free. There's also Destroyer. Have you seen this one? Destroyer. And there's Mega Godzilla. Remember that?
Oh, Mega Godzilla.
There's Rodan. He looks more or less like a, what would you call it?
Like a New York City pigeon, really. Yeah. Well, which can be pretty scary.
It is to me. Anyway, so those are in the Battle Royale. Who else would you like to see before we get it started? Who else is in the Battle Royale?
Well, what I'd like to see, just to keep it more current, is... the remaining dragon from Game of Thrones. Is it Rhaegal? One of Daenerys' dragons. I mean, those things are pretty scary.
Yes.
I think the dragon from Game of Thrones would hold its own against Godzilla.
I don't think you're that far off. That's pretty good. I like that one. How about Gigantor?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? He's as big as them. He's metal. He's almost like a Mega Godzilla, though, right? Wasn't that a metal thing?
No, Godzilla, I know this could be a stupid question.
Yeah.
He did breathe fire, right?
He sure did.
So,
well, is it fire? It's more or less a very hot breath. It's not. It doesn't come out as flames.
But it's hot, right? It could vaporize things with it. So I wonder if Gigantor's metal, his armor, could it withstand that heat? I don't know.
It's a good strategy. What if Godzilla, grabbed? I should say Gigantor grabbed Godzilla from the back,
from behind. It would have to be a sort of a surprise attack,
a sleeper hold.
Right.
That would be the move. You'd have to have
Gigantor
do the sleeper hold. Otherwise, I think you're right. I think Gigantor goes down.
Sleeper hold.
How about the Blob up against these guys?
Interesting. Attack him from below.
I think he'd be one of these. You ever see the Battle Royale where there's a couple of these wrestlers that just kind of hang out?
Right.
They watch the other ones do. Yeah. They wait, and I think the Blob could just wait until Godzilla steps on him.
How big was the Blob? Is it big
very
enough?
small in the beginning, and then as it eats, it gets bigger and bigger. So it would just get onto Godzilla, and then just use its acids or whatever it is to break down and eat the entire monster.
Right.
But would Godzilla's skin be too hard for the Blob to break down? Because it broke down. Let me get it straight now. Did it break down human bone? It did. The Blob broke everything down in a human being. Though.
Basically, yeah, just kind of digested you whole.
So you got to see where that's. I think the Blob is a good match.
What about? I'm just thinking of something maybe as tall. What about the 50-foot woman?
Ah.
All right. So now you've got a human with some intelligence that's facing this thing, not smaller, the same exact size, and could probably you could arm her with something that she can hold up as a shield, maybe, while...
Yeah, she would definitely need a shield and something like a hammer or something, like a tool, because Godzilla's strong, man.
He's strong, and he doesn't move that fast.
Right.
So maybe the 50-foot woman could just, again, almost like I forget who you said, Gigantor, sneak from behind or just grab him from behind and just put him down.
But you got to be careful, too, because from behind in some of the movies, when he's ready to use that breath, his scales in the back heat up to red hot temperature. And he's got that tail.
What about grabbing him by the tail and just doing a body slam?
Well, that's what King Kong did in the movie in the 60s.
Right.
He whipped him around, remember, and then threw him. It didn't work, though, because Godzilla won that one.
Didn't work.
Temporarily it worked.
Dazed him.
What if superstar Billy Graham got into the same serum that the 50-foot woman did and was able to get strong and get tall and to be a 50-foot superstar Billy Graham.
Well, if he could do that,
like a tag
why
team
wouldn't
with
they
the woman,
team
the
up?
two of them,
Yeah.
would be perfect. It'd be a good tag team.
That'd be great. I think they'd win.
All right. Well,
it wouldn't make much of a movie. Actually, I think it would make a pretty interesting movie.
It actually would be. It really would be.
You
There's
know?
a couple we haven't talked about yet, which we'll talk about in the next session. But what about them? Now, them would be like these...
the ants.
The ants. They would be like these... Remember those guys, the Bushwhack brothers? Who used to walk in? Like, there'd be or one of these teams where you've got 5 or 6 or 8 guys. You know, like
so it would just be like a swarm.
Swarm of ants, giant ants, which are strong,
right,
against Godzilla. Does it work? I don't know.
How would they?
So
how would they kill Godzilla? Just like
they just have to use those talons. You know, those talons, and just pinch him and keep pinching him and pinching him, and
basically stabbing
him to death. Yeah.
Interesting. And the other thing is, do we really want Godzilla to lose? Like, why aren't we? I thought Godzilla.
I think Godzilla beats all. I don't know that there's. You're right. I don't think there's a good battle that he loses. Temporarily in the movies in the 50s, he has lost to a lot of these ones. He's lost to Rodan once.
But they were like boxing matches. It doesn't mean he's dead. He's just on the canvas, and then later he gets up and lives to fight another.
I mean, Ali is considered the greatest, but he lost to Frazier once.
Right.
Lost
to George Foreman. Yeah, lost to a few guys.
So it doesn't mean that you're the worst. I mean, even Rocky lost.
That's true.
You know, well, what if Rocky took the serum?
You know, Rocky isn't real, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Neither's a 50-foot woman. And neither's Godzilla. And this show really shouldn't exist either. But anyway.
So we're going to come back, and we're going to continue talking about the MonsterVerse. And I want to show a few others that we haven't heard some of those trailers for, and then talk about what would be the future of the MonsterVerse, what we would like to see in the future, and or should there be a future for the MonsterVerse after all we've discussed. We'll be back on Everything Old is New Again. Let's just take a little listen to a little more Chiller Theater, if you remember that. If you haven't heard, I don't know, it's something that might bring back some memories. Everything Old is New Again. We'll be back right after this. Listen to this.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Nice. The beast.
The beast. Beast from 20,000 fathoms.
That would be a nice, entrance theme into this battle royale.
Yes.
We forgot about that. We're back on Everything Old is New Again, talking all things MonsterVerse, Godzilla, and so forth. That, again, of course, is the beast from 20,000 Fathoms, who looks like a real big, what would you say, a Tyrannosaurus Rex? What would you say he looks like?
Yeah, more like an old dinosaur. Yep.
Now, that brings up a question. Now, we've talked about the big monster movies. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, what about those guys?
Where do they fall into this scene? They're big, but they're really not. They're not big as houses and buildings. The ones we're talking about in the MonsterVerse are like, what would you say, at least 25 stories tall?
Yeah,
something like that. And
that's true.
You know, dinosaurs basically would be their lunch.
Actually, would the 50-foot woman be tall enough?
That's true.
She might have to expand.
Yeah,
I think.
Right.
So that's a non-starter right there.
Okay, well, we gave it a shot. Maybe she's got to have some serum if she keeps on growing.
Yeah, why 50 feet? I think that was back in the 50s, right? She could grow at least 3 times.
With the atomic advances of these days, they keep on talking about the atomic
nuclear reaction, nuclear accident.
It's all It's all related to that A-bomb. But that was the Beast from 20,000 Phantoms. You would watch that one as a kid.
The Beast.
And that was it. That was the movie of the night. Unless or until you got together with your buddies and you watched Gamera. Hello.
Pounding across the motion picture screen comes the most terrifying monster of them all. Gamera, the Invincible. Gamera, the super monster that even the H-bomb cannot destroy. Gamera, the Invincible.
Attention, everyone! Take cover!
Gamera, consuming raw atomic power. Power to destroy entire cities.
Open fire!
Man's most destructive weapons have no effect on Gamera, the Invincible. The mightiest nuclear weapons ever devised are powerless against Gamera, the Invincible. Is humanity doomed? Will the world be destroyed?
Boy, humanity's really up against it, right?
Yeah.
Think of all those monsters that we can't defeat.
But they never use the A-bomb in any of these movies.
I
by
know.
the way.
Like, have you tried it? Have you tested it to see if it would work?
These things got their mouths open left and right.
Just
can't you
throw
be like
one
a
in
Luke
there.
Throw and drop one in?
Throw one in there.
Throw one in there. Give 'em a little
let
something.
it blow up. Let it blow up inside and see what happens to the freaking thing. Probably explode.
Gamera the Invincible. Now, if you go to Radio Mystery Theater 3000, remember that show? Where they talk about
it's
the movies?
a great show.
We did a show about that. You can look that back up. But where they, comment on... They did a Gamera one. It's hysterical.
Really?
Gamera is a big turtle.
It's a giant turtle,
Which
right?
is big, and you can tell there's a guy in there with a shell on his back. It's just a guy in his suit. It's so ridiculous. And he doesn't want to go on all fours. He barely ever goes on all fours.
Yeah, would you? You're wearing this stupid suit. I mean, I'd want to stand upright also as much as I could.
Later on in movies, he would recede into himself and spin and
that's
fly.
right. That's right. It was almost like he was in his own spaceship.
Right, exactly. So that was Gamera the Invincible back in the day. It was 1965 when he started. His last appearance was in Gamera the Brave in 2006. See, here's the thing.
They made a movie about Gamera in 2006?
I don't think we realize that the Japanese theater, they're still, in the movies, they're still
cranking
doing
them
these.
out. That's a Japanese movie.
Yes. It's amazing. It doesn't stop. The Japanese love these big. Well, I guess I have something in common with them because I love them too.
You do?
I'm not going to say bad thing.
Japanese.
I love it. How about?
I really think so. All right, we'll stop.
That might be a good song. How about this? How about It Came From Beneath the Sea?
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man. The H-bomb blasted loose from the depths of the Pacific. But not even the H-bomb can kill it. West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
How many, I just have a question.
Yeah.
How many of these monsters are hermetically sealed somewhere in the earth that a nuclear explosion will expose when that goes off?
And or the reverse is that a nuclear explosion will not kill them. It's one or the other.
It can release them, but it can't kill them.
Right.
If a nuclear bomb goes off, Doug, can I just posit this theory? That
a Twilight Zone. This is a possible Twilight Zone.
Exactly. If a nuclear bomb goes off, let's say in the United States, I think, Mothra would be the least of our concerns.
Well, no, because you'd have It Came From Beneath the Sea, which would give you more of a concern. It's a big octopus.
But listen, would you rather be killed? So let's play this out, right?
Okay.
Nuclear bomb goes off, and you've got maybe 2 months to live before the radiation starts killing you slowly and painfully.
Right.
And you see Mothra coming.
Right.
Do you say to yourself, hey, Mothra, over here, let's end this now? Or do you go through the radiation poisoning and die a slow and painful death?
Or do you sing to Mothra, like those two little, what do they call them? Little women? What do they call them?
Right.
And maybe Mothra will take some pity on you, but you're right, because then
you're dead already. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So I don't know if they really thought these movies
would you want to
through.
be eaten by Mothra, and maybe your radioactivity that's in your persona affects Mothra and kills Mothra for the future generations?
Oh, so you sacrifice yourself.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Okay, and you get an army of people that will do that.
There you go. Why didn't that happen in one of these movies?
I don't know. I will say this to you.
There's nuclear bombs that went off, but everybody survived somehow.
Right.
And now they've got these monsters. Like, it's enough to survive the radiation.
How about this? That movie, It Came From Beneath the Sea, you ready for this? Was released as the top half, which means the first one, the better movie, of a double feature, which we don't have anymore, which is ridiculous. We should have double features too, with a movie called The Creature with the Atom Brain. So along those lines, I mean, the atom bomb is very
prevalent.
Now, Ray Harryhausen, have you ever heard of him? He the Creature from Beneath the Sea is an American, monster movie from 1955, and Harryhausen was involved in that.
Just so our listeners know who he is, why don't you?
He did the stop motion. He created the stop motion technology where all these monsters basically look real. You put it in a position, take a picture, put it in another position, take a picture, and it's painstaking.
Right.
But he did that and is very well received for that before computers, of course, were around.
Sure.
So I think it's interesting that these movies, some of them have monsters with humans in them.
Right.
Like basically Godzilla is a guy walking around.
Yeah.
Gamera is a guy walking around in a turtle suit
with a shell on his back.
But It Came From Beneath the Sea is totally different. They tried to make it real. So I don't know. I kind of go for that. That's my thing. How about the ending? What's going to happen to any and all of these huge monster movies? Do you think the Blob, in some way, the ending of the Blob, gives us a clue? Let's see.
What are they going to do with that thing, Dave?
Well, the Air Force is sending a Globemaster in. They're flying it to the Arctic.
It's not dead, is it?
No, it's not.
Just frozen.
I don't think it can be killed. But at least we've got it stopped.
Yeah, as long as the Arctic stays cold.
I think as long as the movie theaters stay cold, the monsters go away. In other words, if there's not enough people at the turnstiles, they go away.
That's true. They just die off somehow mysteriously by themselves.
Right. But as soon as it is, they make millions, they're coming back. Such as, again, the original Godzilla. Well, let's put it this way. Make it simple. All 4 of these movies that have been released under the MonsterVerse, I'm sorry, there's only been 3 released so far. They've made over $600 million so far. That's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
I mean, it's not.
Is it as good as I don't think it's as good as.
No, they expect it to be a lot better, and so we'll see what happens. I just for one.
You're hoping
I
they
want
live.
to just keep on making them, man. I love them. Even if I don't go see them in the theater, there'll be a Sunday afternoon, when it's raining out or snowing, and I don't feel like doing a thing, and there it is, Do
you think that? So one last question for you before we do you think that they should start coming up with new monsters instead of like rehashing the retreads?
That's a great idea. That's what we tried to do a little bit. We tried to figure it out, but yes, there are other insects that could become monsters. There are other reptiles that can become monsters, and there's other stories. I guess the outer space is the easiest one, like the giant claw. But there are other stories that can be presented to try to, give a reason as to where these things are coming from besides the atom bomb. Let's be a little more, more advanced.
A little current.
So anyway, that's our discussion of the MonsterVerse on all things, everything old is new again. We've had a great time, a grand old time. And David Cohen, say goodbye. We will see you next week on Everything Old is New Again.
Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by the law office of Douglas Viviani. Douglas Viviani has been providing quality legal service for over 26 years. We're a general practice firm and can handle any legal matter you may have for a reasonable fee. If you're involved in a car accident, starting a business, planning your estate, or need a criminal attorney, please call 631-681-1910 or email us at vivianilaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Get the justice you deserve. Contact the law office of Douglas Viviani at vivianilaw@aol.com.
You've been listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's pop culture entertainment talk show. Find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz. That's .biz.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.